Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Oh boy, there will be no love lost and nothing held back on today's episode, or I guess of Game Over Calgary. That was something not great. I'm almost at a loss for words just because it's been a real rough 6 games. Anyway, we'll get into all that. We'll get into tonight's happenings. We'll talk about this incredible 6-game stretch it's been for the Calgary Flames. Welcome to Game Over Calgary. My name is Auddie, and joining me today is a good friend from the network, a new Calgary man, as we like to see. Julian McKenzie joining me today. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing really well, man. How are you doing?
Oh, like I told you before we hopped on, definitely have been better. I'm sorry that this is your thrown you to the wolves to start covering this team, because it's been a rocky off season. It's been a rocky start, but here we are. It's definitely been an emotional roller coaster for Flames fans. It's been a roller coaster for people in the media covering the team, but at least for you, there's no lack of things to talk about.
Yeah, if this was a very boring team to cover, I might get a little worried, but there's been a lot to talk about and a lot to dissect. Even when the team was winning, the fact that they're 0-4-2 over the last 6 games, that is quite the shock for me, considering how they started. It's and we can get into that, but this is really surprising and concerning.
It's tough. Yeah, it's been a real tough stretch here. It's kind of, we'll dive into it here. But before we get started, do you want to bet? You can do it at Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook. Football continues, and the hockey season is well underway. Bet pre-game, live and play on one of our many prop bets. Made for Canadians, by Canadians, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Ontario only, 19 plus. Please play responsibly. And I find myself following up these ad reads just about every time I do Game Over with, you got to play responsibly when you gamble. But unlike the Calgary Flames, who don't seem to be responsible in any end of the ice. And one of the things I kind of wanted to start with was something that I noticed, and I wanted to get your input on it as well. Just how I feel like irresponsible's harsh, but in all 3 zones, they're struggling. Transition, they're struggling with the breakout. They're turning pucks over so often in the D zone. Are these things you're seeing, and maybe your 2 cents on how that kind of looks?
Yeah, I especially for me, it's the defensive zone turnovers. Yeah. We've seen them turn into goals against, into scoring chances against. And the most disappointing part of it for me is that this is coming from a team where at the beginning of the year, actually, let's forget even the beginning of the year, when Daryl Sutter came into the team and they had the success that they had last year. One of the big things, at least from my vantage point as an outsider, was that this team was defensive minded. They had some kind of structure. They were supposed to be kind of sound in that area. And this year, in watching the first 2 games that I've seen, and even in some of the wins that they've had, there's been moments where they're doing the turnovers, and maybe there's some moments where some guys are just not out of play, or just kind of out of place. They're not in the right spot. I understand there's some other facets of the game that are very concerning, but the defense that I thought would be a little bit more sound and a little bit better to this point in the year. But I put out a tweet saying there's a defensive zone turnover problem for the Flames. I had to retweet that at one point too. I forget who had a turnover late in the defensive zone.
It was Hanifin.
I
marked it down.
That.
Yep.
Nikita Zadorov had one that led to a goal that was eventually overturned. But that's a very bad problem. That is something that has persisted since the beginning of the year until now. And whether Chris Tanev is in the lineup or not, it's been there. And the Flames, I don't want to say above all other problems. I know there are other things they need to look at as well, but that is a big problem that needs to be fixed. They are capable of going through periods where they can, keep the opposing offense at bay, but moments like that where a little giveaway, a golden opportunity for the other team, that ends up killing them at so many different points in this year. That's one thing for sure. In my head, I just see it. I'm just there's no reason why this should be happening.
And the frustrating part about it for me too is at the beginning of the year, we were talking about it before we hit live or we hit record. you know, we were picking apart little problems like that, but the team was doing well. So it was like, okay, we can pick apart the little things like these defensive zone turn, because they've been happening all year. Whether you like to hear it or not, even when they were winning games, they were still turning pucks over in the defensive zone. The transition has consistently been weak. But yeah, like we were talking about all year, it's been a problem, and now we're seeing it get worse and worse and worse, and no response yet. Like it's uncharacteristic on so many levels for a Daryl Sutter team to consistently struggle defensively the way that we've seen this team, struggle, especially over these past 6 games.
Yeah. What's really frustrating too, I think I can imagine for a lot of fans, is that this is a team that I guess still kind of had some of these issues, but they were really good. They looked good at the beginning of the year, and they got those wins over quality teams. And I remember being in the locker room after some of those wins, and you're hearing the players after wins say like, hey, this is something we still need to fix. This is something that still needs to get better, whether it's about how sloppy they were in the defensive zone, whether it's their play at 5-on-5, just stuff that needs to be fixed. That needs to be fixed, needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed. It's been the last 6 games. They're 4-2. How much of that stuff has been fixed? Not a lot of stuff has been fixed.
Not a damn thing.
That might actually be the most frustrating thing about this winless streak here, Auddie. Like the fact that the Flames went off to this great start and they knew there were things that had to get better. And then ever since that, I think it's the Edmonton game that kind of started off the losing here. Like it's just been bad to worse, and plus the injuries here. Like Jonathan Huberdeau not available for them tonight.
Yeah.
Chris Tanev, who we don't know when he'll be back, not available for them the last few games. Michael Stone on IR. Oliver Shillington since training camp.
Yeah.
Nobody knows when he's going to come back or if he's anywhere close to that.
Right.
Like the warts we're seeing in terms of injuries are really starting to show for this team.
And the thing too,
and they're going into Boston. It's not going to help.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to help, especially as hot of a team as Boston has been. But something that you kind of think of too. I brought up how uncharacteristic this is of Daryl Sutter, a Daryl Sutter team. You think about those Kings teams that won those Stanley Cups, and how guys like Anze Kopitar and Daryl comes in and he wants Elias Lindholm to be that guy and stuff like that. It's uncharacteristic for a Daryl Sutter hockey team, and I think some of those uncharacteristic things that we're seeing translate more than just on the ice. We're seeing some line jumblings that, like them or not, didn't really make too much sense. I think going to these lines tonight, given the Huberdeau injury, whatever, however long he's going to be away, they kind of made sense. I don't think anybody looked too far out of place. That's maybe one positive. But the uncharacteristic thing for me from Sutter is the deployment of those lines. Because, it's no secret Flames fans have been watching this team under Daryl for, we'll call it 2 seasons now when he came in. And he doesn't line match. He doesn't line match very often, if he does at all. And he deploys his big guys and his veterans in situations where maybe they shouldn't be deployed. And I know that's something that the fans are seeing. Maybe from your perspective, do you have any 2 cents on how Daryl's been deploying this lineup?
Yeah, very veteran heavy, and still relying on guys who are clearly still trying to make it work. I keep thinking of that top line. Well, we know Huberdeau didn't play today, but I mean, Lindholm and Toffoli playing together. They kind of jumbled around putting Dubé and Kadri and Coleman together. But yeah, I think tonight, I'll say this, considering the injuries that have kind of struck the lineup a little bit, I think Daryl Sutter was kind of in a little bit of a time crunch and a little bit of a crunch when it came to jumping around with that. But even then, like, they still held up. I'll say this about Adam Ruzicka. I don't know if he necessarily played a remarkable game for me, but the fact that he got himself that screen that led to that Toffoli goal, that was going to be a positive. And if they were able to turn that into a win, we talk about the deployment of those lines differently
for sure
tonight. I don't know if it gets to a point where you stick with them. You kind of put Jonathan Huberdeau back in the lineup and where you go from there. But I don't know. I feel like with the way that third period kind of ended after that Hischier goal, I felt a little bit of deflation on the part of the Flames there. Maybe we think about the lines differently. It's kind of hard to kind of put it at them. They were in a bit of a tough spot with the injuries presented with them. But yeah, I think totally with the theme of it is, I mean, it's one thing to look at it from a point of how they're lineup matching with other people. I tried to make the point that at the beginning of the year, you shouldn't really split up the Huberdeau, Toffoli, Lindholm line. Just kind of let them continue to gel. And I think you're starting to see a little bit with Lindholm and Toffoli anyway, with the points that they've been able to get, especially at 5-on-5. And Huberdeau the other night was even able to get some production in too. But that just the fact that he made the change in the first place, I was a little bit surprised by that. Now, I mean, not saying that's the reason why they've been on the losing skid that they've been on, but I don't think it really helped matters in the end.
No. And on the topic of the Huberdeau injury, first of all, do we know how long he's away for? Do we know?
We don't know. I mean, we saw this just like announced not too long before the game even started, and we know it as an upper body injury. And I'm sure you guys all know this too, with the way the Flames are with injuries. I'm definitely getting to know this myself.
Yeah,
the Flames are very cagey with injuries and length
they
of time.
They don't say a whole lot. Yep.
They don't say a lot, and depending on who you ask for that, yeah, they're really going to let you know you're not supposed to ask that question. Yeah. So who knows how long Huberdeau is going to be out for the next little while. I mean, he's day to day. That's as best as we could put it. The best thing we could do, I mean, the Sportsnet broadcast kind of showed during the Islanders game, he had he took a hit on the boards, seemed to be favoring his left arm. I was talking about it with a good friend, Ryan Pike, just wondering if it was the forearm or the elbow, but he was definitely kind of favoring that left arm, and they're calling it an upper body injury. So maybe we can make a deduction off that, but we don't know how long he's going to be gone. We don't know if it's just one game. We don't know if it's 2 games, or it's kind of up in the air. And again, just with that and Chris Tanev, we don't know when he's going to be back. Maybe he's back Friday. Maybe he's not. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. First of all, shout out Ryan Pike, one of the smartest guys in Flames media, only second to Julian McKenzie. But
no. I'm not taking that as a joke. Ryan Pike has probably forgotten more about the Flames that I've known in the last 2 months.
That dude's a goddamn encyclopedia. Like
he is.
Oh my God. Like for those who don't know, I do work for Flames Nation as well on the side, which is the site that Pike manages. And I finally met up with him at the game in Nashville, and I was there with my fiance and her dad, and you know, we were shooting the shit or whatever, and then it was just the Pike encyclopedia went loose, and I'm like, dude, like the period's about to start. You got to get back up to the press box, man. And
yeah, Piker's like
guy's a beauty.
Piker's like a chainsaw. Like you crank him up, you just let him go, and you just kind of let him go until like the gas kind of runs out. He was DMing me like when it was announced that I was coming to Calgary. We were talking to each other over DM like weeks before I even moved to Calgary. So I will always show him love for that. He was trying to get me into the circle before I was even in the circle. So I appreciate it.
He's a good dude. That guy I'm pretty sure runs that circle, man. He's all over it. But on the topic of Huberdeau again, do you think a recall is coming? Do we see another forward brought up?
I mean, that's a good
question. Does it not like kind of make like a guy like Matty Phillips? I've been on the Matty Phillips
situation.
I don't know. That's another. Well,
finish the point. Finish the point about Matthew Phillips.
Like,
man, I'm new to this, and I'm hearing everybody love.
Oh my God, dude! Like Matty Phillips has been like, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think he's been too good for the American Hockey League for like 2.5 years. Like this guy, and his problem is his size. Daryl has this identity thing with size, and you know, made it work with Gaudreau, and because he's Johnny Gaudreau. But man, Matthew Phillips is right there, and I have this problem with the Flames and their prospect management, if you will. Their reluctance to draft and develop and promote from within is just so evident. And a guy like Matthew Phillips, I think Connor Zary, Pat Steinberg's brought up some good points about how good Connor Zary's looked in his, I guess, first full pro year because he was hurt last year.
Exactly.
But man, like, what's it gonna take? Like, this is Matthew Phillips music. This
cap
is like
space, right?
And that's like, what it's got to be.
I'm on the cap friendly page right now. Do you know what offhand? Do you know what the projected cap space is for the Calgary Flames off the top of your head? Give me a guess.
Jeez, it's got to be damn close. It's got to be tight. Like,
you give me as close of a number as you can think of.
80. Let's say like 80 something, 80 and change.
So $63,000 and 240, 243. Like,
so one of those guys that's hurt's got to go on LTIR if you want to bring Matty Phillips up. Like, you got to use some LTIR
or whatever.
Pool.
Yeah,
right?
or whatever to get to that point. But even then, like, I mean, I guess I need to see more of Matthew Phillips. I didn't think he was that remarkable to me in training camp. I see the points. He's on the point streak in the AHL. I understand why people are banging the drum. Connor Zary, he was more impressive.
He was
in training
He
camp
had a
and
hell
in
of a
rookie
camp.
camp, to be quite honest. And he's also having a good start to the year too. He's probably someone I think Matthew Phillips is a little bit older, in mid-20s, Zary a little younger. Maybe more likely they build off Zary more than a Phillips, but maybe you give him a chance. I don't want to upset the Flames fan base so soon. I don't feel comfortable saying,
bro, I don't think
that Matthew Phillips doesn't deserve a chance.
I don't think
I'm
Mike
not gonna
Gould's
be that guy to
watching.
do it.
I don't think Mike Gould's watching, and he's been the one that's
It's not just Mike Gould. Mike Gould.
I know, but Gould's been beating the Matty Phillips drum. We know it.
Oh man,
and
he also thinks Michael Stone is the Flames' best pure offensive defenseman they've ever seen.
We love Gould. We've had our licks on Gould here.
He's a good dude. He's good.
He's a good kid. Yeah, he's a good kid. I'm gonna read some of the comments here before we kind of transition here. A lot of people showing their Julian love as they likely should. Robert. First of all, shout out Robert for being the best mod out there. Man was at the Leafs game tonight, and he still made it for Game Over Calgary.
What?
I know, right? I saw he tweeted that he was at the Leafs game, and I replied, I'm like, but who's gonna mod Game Over Calgary? And he's like, I am, and I'm like, all right, fair enough. A lot of people saying they miss Shillington a lot, and on that topic, we've talked about it a little bit. I think the biggest thing that I miss from Shillington is his speed. Because this team, I don't know about you, but this team is greatly lacking. Well, they're lacking a lot of things, but speed and being able to keep up, especially tonight. Like the Devils are a fast team. This is a fast team, and they just couldn't keep up.
They struggled against the Devils with their speed. They struggled against the Buffalo Sabres with their speed. The Seattle Kraken are a younger, faster team. If there's one key to figuring out this year's edition of the Calgary Flames, even if you might not be as skilled or talented, if you are faster than this team, you have an advantage on this team. That's the biggest takeaway we can see from this winless streak so far. And yeah, I think with the talent that New Jersey has, they're off to a really good start, by the way. Jesper Bratt's been good. Fabian Zetterlund, who got the OT winner on the Flames the other night, also looked pretty good too. Nico Hischier obviously getting the game winner tonight for the Devils. There's a lot of young talent, some good players on this team. Vitek Vanecek's actually looked good in net too. The Flames, I think, just especially when they're in a position where they're trying to defend a lead or they're just out of it. Like the other team just wants it more. Like they haven't been able to handle that.
They've been taking their foot off the gas. Like they just have they got no response to anything. It seems
I don't get it. Like I think of the last time the Flames won a game against the Pittsburgh.
When was that?
That was like October.
I was there.
Tonight.
I was there. Yes. It was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. Also, before tonight, that was the last time the Flames had scored a power play goal. That was been almost over 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I remember
been rough.
Post game, trying to ask Daryl Sutter that game, was that the closest that this team has played a 60-minute effort? Because like the first period was really good.
Yep.
The second period, they didn't trail, but they allowed like 21 shots. They allowed
a shit ton of shots. Yep.
And then the third, they closed it out. And Daryl's all like, well, you kidding me? We allowed 21 shots in the second. And it feels like ever since then, maybe not in every single game, there always just seems to be this point where, whether the Flames start off well or if they don't start off well, there's some kind of point where the other team is able to just kind of dominate play up on this team. And like, this is not what I expected from this Flames team at all. I get teams get desperate and they want back into games. But I think of the other night against the Islanders where you go 10 minutes without a shot on net. Like that's not something you expect from this team.
No, and it's bad. Is it bad that now that like I look at the shot clock, it's like 15-2 in favor of the Flames. They're up 1-0, and I'm just anticipating a loss. Like it's just like I'm looking at it.
Feeling.
No, and it's not, and it's like it's become all too common now. It's like, you know what? Like this team looks so damn good to start, but they're gonna let up. They're going to let up somewhere. And it's frustrating, which kind of leads me to what I want to talk about, which, you put out a good article talking about Jacob Markstrom and, how he's been progressing, which is a really good way of putting it, because I think he was the whipping boy for a lot of early struggles this year, which I don't think was legit. Like I think he's, he looked a little shaky. It came out that he was maybe battling a sickness or something like that. He was ill and just couldn't,
during the first week of the season.
Yeah, and he just couldn't kick it, which is like, I urge anyone else to go try to play, 4 National Hockey League level games while you're trying to battle the flu or whatever the hell he had, right? But tonight especially, I think he looked really good, especially on the second half of a back-to-back, which we're going to be used to seeing. Daryl Sutter has done that to Jacob last year a bunch. He played back-to-backs like crazy. Like I think he had something like 63 or something like that starts last year. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, I think, I just kind of want to get your 2 cents on how Jacob Markstrom's looked for you, because for me, I don't think he's been awful. Like, sure, he's probably lets him in that he wants back, but that's every goalie in the league.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think he's been that bad either. He's been getting better with a lot of games that he's played. That big save in the first period when the Devils were coming in on him, I think it was on Jack Hughes that he saved.
Yep.
It was a hell of a save in that first period. But when the mistakes keep happening in front of him, he's going to let in goals. And even on that third goal he allowed, where Nico Hischier gets a step on Mackenzie Weegar, just not in a good position. Weegar's chasing the play at the end. I mean,
let's take that
defended a little bit better.
Let's take that back to the offensive zone, though, because it's a Nikita Zadorov pinch at the blue line that takes him out of the play. You got 2 Devils already up ice, and you got Mackenzie Weegar hung out to dry. Like, this is what I'm talking about with transition play and their turnovers. Like, there's so many little things that lead up to these. How many odd man rushes have you seen this year? 2-on-0s, 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s.
Yeah.
There's always
a lot coming back.
There's always one guy up ice who takes himself out of the play that causes something like that. And I hate to pick on Nikita Zadorov because I don't think he's been particularly bad this year. But
good.
But like, that's a bad pinch. That's a bad turnover on the goal that gets called back. Like, it's all these little things. It's like shit on top of shit on top of shit, and that's just what's losing them these games.
Yeah, it's kind of tough for them considering that they started off the year trying to get to a point where they're trying to be perfect. And now they're at this point where, they almost kind of feel like they have to play perfect so that they don't make mistakes that end up costing them games, which ultimately that's kind of what happened to them over the last 2 nights and last few nights, really. It's a really tough time to be in that locker room, I imagine, considering that you have all this hype to start off the year, or at least people try to downplay the hype, right? But they find themselves on this 0-4-2 slide. And I mean, considering the injuries, considering their next opponent who they have to play, I don't know how, they could win and surprise us all, but it doesn't look like it's going to get any better.
No, I don't think so either. And maybe your 2 cents too on, I know I talked about we shouldn't be surprised to see Markstrom start second half of a back-to-back, but this team plays 4 games this week. That's a busy workload. Do you like I personally, and again, I'm not Daryl Sutter, so I get no say in the matter, but I think I'm going to Vladar in Boston, obviously, but I would have went to Vladar tonight. I mean, would that have been too crazy? And Dan Vladar has been more than capable. Last year he was incredible. This year he's been great. I don't know. It's leading back to all these questions I have about Daryl Sutter, and I hate to question the guy who just won the Jack Adams last year, won all these Stanley Cups, and he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. But I think the coach deserves a bit of criticism. He's got to wear this as much as everybody else, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, he's trying his best with the lineup decisions he's trying to make.
Yeah, exactly.
Too,
and that's another thing I got to keep in mind. And it's maybe just me in my own head. But yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but look, he's a guy who has also said that, people have made the Flames too much about individuals and it should be more about the team. So if the players deserve to wear some of this, then Daryl Sutter has to wear some of this too.
Yeah.
Going off of what he's saying. And on top of that, but I had another thought. I'll probably remember it.
It's all good.
Just completely blanked on it.
It's all good.
Yeah, I can understand why Daryl Sutter. I don't disagree with people who feel he deserves some flack for this, especially if you're going along that team concept.
Yeah, for sure. Some of the comments here: Devils fan, Flames way outplayed us tonight, except for the first half of the second period, which we dominated. To be fair, Vanacek was by far the difference. Yeah, Vanacek did play. He played really well. A heck of a game, and you brought up a good point about him. Noah Adler, the Flames have always been a slow skating organization for the longest time. They need to be far more fast skating if they want to be in the same tier as a Colorado. I agree and
Yes.
I agree and I don't. Like, are the Avs really like that fast of a team? Like, is it outside of McKinnon and like how fast are they
I
compared to the
mean,
Flames?
I would imagine they're faster. I mean, I think of how they won the Stanley Cup last year. I'm
That's true.
not saying there were guys that were super fast like Nathan McKinnon, like a bull running through a ring or whatever, but like every forward line that they were able to
Yeah, they've
bring
always
out
got someone out
had
there.
some kind of quickness, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like if you compare, I mean, not even looking at the current iteration of the Colorado Avalanche compared to what the Flames were able to put out under their fourth line, which look, they had a decent start to the year with Lucic and Rooney, who was supposed to at least bring some of that quickness in, and Brett Ritchie as well. They're not a fast team.
No,
They're not fast, and
No.
and as we were bringing up before, they struggle against teams that are faster than them.
You know who's fast?
Who's fast?
Matty Phillips.
He is quick. He is quick.
I'm not gonna stop beating that drum, man. I'm gonna be on it.
You got to
I'm gonna be on it.
You got to clear.
You gotta clear that
clear
cap.
the space.
You gotta clear
Clear
that
the cap.
space.
No. I get it. I get it though. Him or Connor Zary. I mean, I don't think there's any harm in trying those guys out on a fourth line and seeing if that kind of gets the bottom six going a little bit. Maybe. I mean, I think I need to see Phillips more before I make a real judgment on him. But I also liked what I saw from Connor Zary.
Oh,
so
for
maybe
sure.
I'm a little bit more biased and thinking, hey, he deserves a chance too. But Matthew Phillips, I want to reserve some judgment before I pick a side here. Just because, look, I get it. When you're a fan of a team and you try to study the prospects and you try to look at who's in your organization who's doing really well, like it happens all the time. In Montreal, I think of this one guy who was in the organization for a while named Charles Hudon, who could play really well in the AHL, was kind of quick too, but like in the NHL level, just couldn't cut it.
Can't keep up.
Just couldn't keep up with the speed.
Yeah.
And it exists where you can be like really good in the American Hockey League and you are just a step too far behind to really make it work in the NHL. Those guys exist. I'm not saying Matthew Phillips is that guy. He's only played one NHL game, so like it's hard to just
and that was even he barely played that game. It was a nothing game at the end of the year.
It's really hard to tell, like, you know
what game that was?
Which game that was?
Do you remember 2 playoffs ago when the Canucks and the Flames had a makeup game the same day?
Game?
That was that game.
Oh, hell no. That's barely a
game. That
game.
doesn't count.
That shouldn't even happened.
Right.
Oh my God.
It was a nothing.
Game he played?
That's the game he played.
Oh,
that was Matty Phillips' NHL debut.
Okay, taking a side here, but I completely understand why people are mad.
Oh yeah, that's a bullshit game. That doesn't count.
Here's the thing. The size thing is one thing. Yes, it exists where you could be really good in the AHL and not so good at the NHL, and it remains to be seen with Matthew Phillips. I can also sympathize with fans who want to see him get a chance. And the one chance they saw him play was a game that nobody was trying to watch.
No, man. Everybody was watching the playoffs.
Who moved on to the playoffs?
I didn't even watch that game. I didn't even watch it.
I'll
admit it. I don't know if any Flames fans did. That was a tough watch. That was a tough watch.
Jeez.
So, yeah. To bring the mood down. Some of the comments, Insider J Money, that's your boy from the CJ show. Riddick
yes,
for a first, and Zari. How about you kick rocks on that one? Someone says Bedard's gonna look good playing with Huberdeau.
Whoa!
Pump the brakes.
Whoa! They're not that bad.
I think like Ottawa lost tonight.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
Lose.
They lost. He's gonna look good with Stützle, as far as I'm concerned.
He can still play in North Vancouver. Well, sorry, play. Well, I don't. Well, I guess the Canucks are south. Well, Vancouver's south.
I don't know my BC. I don't know my. I've been like 10 minutes into BC. It's.
This is the first time I've ever been in Alberta. Like, so I don't know anything about BC.
I've been here for 8 years now, and I've been to BC once. Actually, twice. There's a ski hill in Sunshine somewhere. It's west, but you I don't know if you ski, but the chairlift brings you. It's the trail's called Continental Divide, and the chairlift brings you up into BC, and then you ski back down into Alberta. It's actually pretty sick.
Oh, that's actually
pretty cool. Actually pretty sick. So technically, I've been to BC twice. Yeah, lots of Bedard talk on. I'm going to table that. So yeah,
Time out. Let me help you out with that, brother.
Yeah, you can take this one.
Whoa. The Flames are too good to be in a position where that should be even muttered. You
Right?
know? Like Connor Bedard, generational talent. If the Flames started the year similar to what the Canucks did, maybe that's enough of a conversation. But I think they started too well, for one. Two, the players that they got on their team are too good to put them in a position to even think about getting a Connor Bedard. So, like, unless Brad Treliving has some damn fangled idea to trade for a top first round pick from like Chicago or something, that's not happening.
Yeah, like you're not going to be as bad as the tanking Coyotes and Blackhawks. I mean, the Sabres show spurts of being good, but they're still going to be not great.
I don't think they're going to be in Bedard sweepstakes either. They at least got off to a good start.
You're not going to the fact of the matter is you're not going to outsuck those two other teams. Like I don't even think the Flames are not going to be a lottery team. Let's pump
And
the
that's
brakes.
also not what the Flames are trying to do.
That's not what they're trying to do. Daryl Sutter did not come here to rebuild and tank for Connor Bedard. I'm sorry.
They did
as
not
much
extend
as we should,
Daryl Sutter.
Yeah.
They did not extend Mackenzie Weegar. They did not extend Jonathan Huberdeau so they could be in a position where they competed for Connor Bedard. At this point, and I know there's some people who are probably like, hey man, it's time to fire Daryl Sutter.
I'm not beating that drum.
I'm not beating that drum either. I think at this point, it's just this is a veteran team, and you've heard from different players say, oh, they've been through ups and downs of a season before. They're gonna figure it out. Small subtle plug for a story that I'm putting up that's coming up tomorrow.
Oh, plug away.
So I wrote a story about how other teams in the past who have had like a lot of new players come in, how they've gone about acquiring chemistry for all their guys. And I spoke to Daniel Briere, who joined the Flyers for the 2007 season, I want to say. And the year before, the Flyers were like the worst team in the National Hockey League. But they added Briere, they added Hartnell, they added Timo Timonen, Jason Smith, who was with the Oilers for a long time, was on that team. He became captain like how many weeks in? They had a whole bunch of guys added to this team. In February, they go through like a 10-game losing streak. Like, that's bad. They still ended up in the conference final that year. Like, just when you think like,
teams go through skids, man.
They do.
The Blues, when they won their cup, weren't fantastic. The Penguins in their first of back-to-back were a bottom feeder team in the division at Christmas. They came back and won a state. Like, shit like this happens. I know fans overreact. I know, not saying you, but people in the media sometimes overreact.
Sure.
Shit happens. It works itself out. Like you said, this team is too damn good to be talking about Connor Bedard. Like, get out of here with that.
They have too many veteran guys who have played through too many different situations where, and that's what I genuinely just, this is just off of what I've seen from the team, just hearing them talk about playing through these games and knowing how long the season is and knowing the composition of that team. As far as I'm concerned, I think Brad Treliving and the team is just going to like, you know what, you guys are just going to have to figure this out. Just let everyone get healthy and then put yourself in a position to get out of that skid. You guys keep talking all the time about how you've been in these situations and you guys are a veteran team. Get out of it. Be veterans and get out of it.
Yeah, figure it out. I feel like a lot of it's between the years too. Like, they might be overthinking it, gripping the stick too hard, whatever cliche you want to use. But they will, in fact, get out of it. This is Game Over Calgary, by the way. The Flames losing tonight to the New Jersey Devils. We're going to put a bow on this one, and we're going to move to a couple quick ones before we wrap things up. We're going to forget about the game that was. We're going to forget about the Calgary Flames in general. New Calgary man, Julian McKenzie.
Oh, let's go.
How are you enjoying the city? Like you uprooted the hell out of Quebec and came over here.
Yeah.
You got the hell out of Quebec, and come out here. How's it been? Like, how's Calgary been treating you, and how are you liking the city?
Calgary's been it's been a pleasant surprise. I say this, and I hope no one gets mad. I thought like I was going into a city where it's just like nothing but truckers everywhere, but it's like truckers and people, and everyone's been super nice. Like, I love the fact that like you could just kind of like walk around somewhere and someone will like look at you and be like, hey, how you doing? I remember going to Lake Louise a couple weekends ago, And we're like, me and a friend of mine were walking through these trails, and every time we saw people would say hi, to the point that like we would come across people who wouldn't say hi, and we'd be like, well, why the hell didn't they say hi?
What an
What the hell?
asshole. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Oh man. And also that drive to Lake Louise, the mountains, every time I look
that's
up,
a
I'm
top
like,
5 drive.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, when I moved out here from Ontario, the first time when I first got here, because we drove out here, which was fucking miserable, but we drove out here, and when I saw the Rocky Mountains, like as we're coming up to Calgary, I'm like, okay, this is sweet. And then like the next weekend, same as you, we take a trip out to Banff, and like as you see the mountains getting closer, you're like, there's no way. Like it looks like some postcard stuff, right? Like you see the Three Sisters, and then like you get into Banff or Lake Louise, and it's like, man, oh man, what a place.
It's a really beautiful place to be. I get the downtown core. They're trying to be a little bit more vibrant. I know I put out that tweet the other day saying, "Oh, it's kind of quiet on a Saturday," but like, there's some decent places to hang out and stuff. Like, I'm not going into this being all like, "Oh, this is Montreal," or they don't have this like in Montreal. Like, I'm in Calgary. Like, I want the experience. You know, I want to take it for what it is. I will also say, like, getting to cover the Calgary Flames, especially at this time in their history, really interesting. But also just knowing that like we're in a time now where like the locker rooms are open, and like we'll go to practices and we can go into locker rooms and we'll have the scrums with players, but each of us among the media contingent, which is small but really cool, also really tight.
I was gonna say tight-knit group.
Yeah, and even like the energy with how people cover the team there compared to what it was like in Montreal, so different. But just the fact that we're able to go into the locker room and talk to players and even sometimes have like little like side conversations, or you take a guy aside for a couple minutes. Here's one thing I still can't get over. I was talking about this with a friend of mine this morning. So a couple weeks ago, Nazem Kadri, like a couple other guys that do the media veils, Nazem Kadri comes out, and Wes Gilbertson had asked to talk to him one-on-one. If this was Toronto, this was Montreal, like that guy comes out in the locker room, everybody's trying to get the mic up in there. Yep. Everyone's going in for it. Nazem Kadri just alone with Wes on the side of like a wall, like just in front of like the little like board they have for media veils. And everyone else is just kind of hanging around, just being respectful. No one's putting their mics in. No one's trying to get an extra quote. Everyone just acknowledges that Wes wanted Nazem Kadri on his own, and they just leave him alone. And maybe in other markets they would find a way to make that work too. But like, I was just amazed at how respectful everyone was. That's just something that just kind of stood out to me and just is very symbolic of the sports media culture in Calgary compared to other markets like Toronto and Montreal. Like that really surprised me. But again, just the fact that we have that opportunity to level with players one-on-one the way that we can, like it's super cool. And especially for someone like me, like this is like my first time full time, like as the guy on a beat for a team. Like I need that. I need that to make my stories good and to stand out and make some kind of presence in this market. So like I'm really into that.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, you mentioned that when I talked to Haley Salvian on another podcast that I was on when she was covering the team, she said the exact same thing. Just super cool that, and she came from Ottawa, right? So I think she said very similar kind of thing, but cool that like the media brethren or whatever is just super respectful of one another, and everybody's so great. Insider J Money says, once Julian rides the bull at Cowboys, he will officially be a Calgarian. I will say there is no bull. The bull, the mechanical bull.
Oh,
you ever rid the bull? Rode the bull?
I've never ridden a mechanical bull.
All right. Well, we'll make quick work of that one of these days. There's a lot of places I've never done it. I never will.
Oh, really?
I never will. No chance.
Why not?
Once you see the people do it, like the seasoned, like the true Alberta, like yeehaw cowboy cowgirls, like they ride the bull, like they know what they're doing, and like there's ain't no way this guy from like City Boy, Ontario is gonna hop on the bull, and like there's no chance. If you do it, I'll do it.
Okay, we need to see what this bull looks like.
If you do it, I'll do it.
No idea what I'm in for. Somebody
tweet Julian right now and show him what the mechanical bull looks like. There's one at Knoxville's. I don't think they have one at Cowboys, but tweet him a mechanical bull and you'll see. But one last thing before we're gonna put a bow on it. I promise. I know I've kept you for a long time, and thank you.
I don't care, man. I'm here to hang out, man. It's 8:30.
I know, right?
I'm good.
This is so weird because I'm like, I get home from work and I'm like trying to cook dinner. I'm like, shit, the game's on. Like I got so much to do. But these 5 o'clock starts throw me off. First of all, how sweet is it you get to watch like the full slate?
Yo,
Like that's the sweet part about Western Canada.
That's the best part about all of this, man.
Right.
Not even just for hockey. I could watch like Sunday Night Football.
All the football
and
games.
It's like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, I could go to sleep in a decent hour.
I
That's
know.
the best part about
it's so good. Have you found a spot yet? Like do you have like this your go-to for like pizza or your go-to if you want to go get a drink? Have you found the spot yet? I want to know.
I don't have,
because I want to judge.
spot.
I'm just kidding. I was going to say I wanted to judge you.
I've been to Melrose inside of Cowboys more than once.
Okay.
So I you know what? I like having spots. I don't have like the spot. I like having like a rotation. But Melrose, I guess, is in that rotation. I went to the Ship and Anchor one time. I like it. Good. I want to go there. I saw some soccer scarves. Maybe that's a spot to go to for the World Cup in a couple of days.
Another good one would be Jameson's for some soccer.
Okay, stuff. I should try that one out.
I don't know if there's one near. Anyway, but yeah, your spots.
Buchanan's.
Okay.
Buchanan's was okay. I know there's some other spots I went to.
Are you a pizza guy?
I like pizza.
Have you tried Una?
I have tried Una pizza, yes.
Thoughts?
Yes. I liked the pepperoni pizza. I also liked their Boulevard of Broken Dreams cocktail. Very nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked their pizza. It was cool. They had these chickpea fries that were interesting.
Yeah, they got some like real, not like funky, but like outside the box stuff. Like they got like kale chips and shit like that. Like they're kind of like, I don't know, like healthy, but like, all right, I guess I'll try. You know, we're here. I may as well have it. It's like I'm going for the breadsticks. I'm going for a couple pizzas. I'm like, fuck the kale chips.
Give me kale chips. I'm trying to eat unhealthy.
Yeah.
No, I like Una. Una's cool. Village ice cream's good too. I know we're off of pizza. That's good. Made by Marcus is good too. I hear National is Economy Taco. I went for that. That's a taco place. I went there. I hear National's supposed to be
fun.
National's cool.
National's fun. Yeah. It's a good scene. Yeah. The one with the bowling alley, I think, is on 10th. And
I want to go bowling. I haven't gone bowling in a while. I think bowling's underrated. I gotta go bowling.
It's a good time. It's a good time. National on 10th with the bowling alley. But we're gonna have to let's table it for now. I know you said you want. I know you said you want to come back on maybe another time. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth.
Oh yeah. I'll be back.
We'll make sure the next time the Flames go on a road trip, and if you're not doing coverage, we'll have you back on. But not that you need the plug, but shameless plug to just go ahead and tell everybody where you're at and what you're doing and what you're up to.
Yeah, man. I am at The Athletic. Please subscribe to The Athletic for whatever deal we have on that website because it feels like we give away.
There's a lot of good deals, man.
There's always a lot of good deals on The
Always.
Athletic. We feel like we give that away all the time. But yeah, seriously, subscribe to that. I'll have some content up for tomorrow morning. Check out the Chris Johnston show. I'll do this on the podcast, but I will do this here too. Thank you to everyone who has sent us feedback over our last episode where we discussed the Mitchell Miller signing. I don't think I've ever had the reaction to an episode quite like what we've gotten for Mitchell Miller. So I just want to take the opportunity for anyone who's watching us now, just to say thank you for the feedback because it really means a lot.
I'm going to stop you. Thank you for your coverage on it too. Like that episode was first of all incredible. You guys did a great job with all that.
Thank you.
Same with your coverage on Yahoo with Avery and Sam and Omar. And am I missing anybody else? Is it just
that was us on that episode, but Arun Srinivasan sometimes.
Yeah. You got like great, like top notch stuff, like as always. And thank you for that. But continue your plugs, please.
Just the Athletic Hockey Show as well on Mondays with Ian Mendez. I do that too. You already mentioned Zone Time with Yahoo Sports. I think that's everything. But JKA McKenzie is my Twitter handle. I don't know how long we'll all be on Twitter because
geez, that's gonna be.
I better stop there before
it's gonna be
canceled.
And that's that. Yeah, it was and thank you for coming on. This has been awesome. On behalf of myself, Auddie, and Julian, this has been a tough game over Calgary. We will be back on Thursday. Peter will have your game over Calgary, Peter Klein, against the Boston Bruins. So until then, we will talk to you guys in the next game over. Thanks for stopping by and watching, and we'll see you later.
Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.